can't believe it's been 3 years. What's going on, y'all? So yes, it has been 3 years. 3 years. Actually, it's been over 3 years since I opened my first Fundrise account. And whenever I got this email saying, hey, it's our anniversary. I mean, I felt so special that Fundrise would send me this email that says, happy 3-year anniversary. And actually, when I opened this email, I think that there was like balloons, maybe some confetti. I don't think there was any music that played. If they would have done that, that would have been really amazing. Either way, I'm blown away. It's been 3 years, and I thought, why not do a 3-year recap on how has my Fundrise portfolio performed? I know many of you that are interested in investing, especially investing into real estate, want to check out Fundrise, are interested, are curious. You want to get into real estate, you really don't know how. You don't have the connections, you don't have the resources, you don't know how to flip properties. So you look at a platform like Fundrise, like that seems like the most logical step, which makes total sense. So in today's video, what I want to spend some time is give you just a brief introduction to Fundrise. I do have some other videos where I talk about Fundrise. I'll have a link to those in the description in case you want to check those out. Then we're going to talk about how to get started with Fundrise if you are interested. We'll also look at some of their competition because they're not the only crowdfunding real estate platform that exists out there. And then we're also going to break down how has my account performed so you can see the real numbers, the performance, the percentages, and the actual real dollars. Then we'll take a look at to see how my Fundrise return has compared to some other investments that I could have put my money into instead. And then we'll just kind of see where it goes from there. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. So everything that I mentioned in today's video, there will be a link in the description. If you want to skip ahead at any point in time, for your convenience, we also have timestamps. You can see at the bottom of the video, or you can also click those timestamps in the description as well. And while you're in that description, utilizing these nice, easy cheat codes to get to the content faster, be sure and like and subscribe while you're there. Okay, let's first do a little brief introduction recap of who Fundrise is and what not a better source to go to than Wikipedia. Where else would you go to get all your information? So with Fundrise, so they are based out of DC. They were founded in 2010. So they are an 11-year-old company. This is pretty interesting. So this is as of 2019. Let me actually make this a little bit bigger so you can actually read the fine print, because this is a big number here. So they Fundrise has originated approximately 1.1 billion in both equity and debt investments deployed across approximately 4.9 billion, that is with a B, of real estate property. And that's as of December 2019. So they've been around for over a decade. It's not like they are brand new to the investment game, the real estate game. You know, they've been around for a while. And then, you know, we can go to their website and you can just check out everything they got going on. I mean, they have a very pretty looking website. I will give them that. As far as like how you get started, well, I guess before we even say that, you know, what is Fundrise? Like, what are they? How do they compare to other real estate online platforms out there that exist? So with Fundrise, so they are a crowdfunding real estate platform. What does that mean, crowdfunding? That means basically, instead of you yourself going out and buying a piece of property on your own, having to go to the bank or find somebody that's willing to loan you money to buy this property, you are putting some money in, as much as you can afford, and then you are crowdfunding that with other people that are also interested. So this is very similar to like a mutual fund, I would say, to where you're putting money in, you're pooling that with other investors, and then you are trusting Fundrise to go out and find those properties. And these properties could be apartment complexes, they could be strip malls, they could be condominiums, they could be office buildings. I mean, they have a wide variety, a wide array of different real estate investments out there. So once again, most likely you as a newbie when it comes to real estate investing, you don't know how to buy these properties. You don't know how to value them, and you definitely don't have the capital to go out and buy them yourself. So that's where a platform like Fundrise comes in, where you put some money in and then they're going out and finding all these different properties. And that's really what it is. Now, are there ways that you could do this like on your own, or could you find people like locally where you could put your money in like into a private real estate fund? Absolutely. I mean, there are definitely ways that you can do this at the local level. In those situations, like you just have to know the person. You have to know these people. You have to be able to trust them, obviously. I know living in this area, I know a few people that run these like private real estate funds that exist, but it's not something, I have invested some into that. But the one convenience of this Fundrise versus something like that is this is the convenience of your own home. You can open up Fundrise on your phone. You can go to their website like I am here, and you can open an account with them and start investing. I mean, that's pretty easy. So how does it work if you want to get started? They have a few different account levels. Even though they don't prominently advertise it here on this page, they actually have a smaller amount where you can get started for up to $500. And that's actually how I got started initially. I then added some more, which I'll explain that here in a minute. But here is like their basic portfolio where you get access to a simple real estate portfolio. You have dividend reinvestment, auto investment. You can create and manage your own investment goals. And they also waive this 3 months of advisory fees if you invite other people to that. Then you have the core portfolio where you have to have at least $5,000 with that one. So you get everything you got with the basic model here. And then you get exposure to some private e-REIT funds. Like this is a proprietary fund that Fundrise manages that they founded. You also have the ability to customize your investment strategy, et cetera, et cetera. They have an advanced one, which is up to $10,000. And then they have a premium for over $100,000. Most people watching this probably won't apply. So typically most people I'm talking to are going to be either this basic, core, or even this $500 portfolio, which I know it's here. I know that I found it somewhere. It does exist, I promise you. So you can get started with $500, and I believe you're getting like the basic model here, which is gonna get a combination of just all the different real estate portfolios, like what they have, what they offer. So that's how you can get started. It's really easy. You would just basically, as I did here, start here, enter your name, password, confirm it. You probably have to fill out some personal information. It's just like you would at any online investment broker, online broker. They're going to know some financials, and then you fund your account. Okay, now that we've learned a little bit how to get started with Fundrise, I do want to mention, why Fundrise? Like, why would you choose them over other real estate investment trusts, other real estate platforms, real estate mutual funds, or even real estate ETFs? And one of the main reason, and Fundrise really talks about this, on their site, is just talking about transparency. Transparency for one of two reasons. One is the fees. Fundrise is very in your face about this is how much it's going to cost. This is how much that you're going to pay for them to manage this real estate portfolio. The other key thing that I like about it with transparency is what are they buying? What are they investing into? And they will give you, they will show you, and I'll get a chance to show you this when I log into my account so you can see the investment properties that they are either purchasing, that they are closing on. They're giving you updates on these different properties. And this is the type of transparency that you typically don't see. Like, you're not gonna get this with a real estate mutual fund. You're not gonna get this with a real estate ETF. So if you want more of in the know about what you have, what you own, but also too, by being able to minimize some of the additional fees that you would have on some of these publicly traded REITs, that's also where, the whole transparency thing, saving on fees as well, comes into play. So that is one reason why, or a few reasons why you would choose Fundrise, if that's something that is important to you. So, all right, so we talked about Fundrise, talked about how to get started, a little bit of why you would choose them. Let's talk about some of the competition. And The fact that there is competition is a good thing. You know, if they were the only real estate crowdfunding platform that existed, that might be a little sketchy. I mean, I don't know. Like, you like the fact that there's competition. That means that's going to drive down pricing. That means like that has to keep them honest and, you know, make sure that their pricing is not too crazy, that they don't have a monopoly, you know, where they're the only provider that exists out there. So that is a good thing. So let's look at some of the competition that exists. So one of the, I guess, the biggest competitors that exists out there is Realty Mogul. Very similar setup than like with Fundrise. They have some big numbers that they talk about as well. You know, they'll talk about transparency and due diligence and all that good stuff. So they are another example. Another example is called Diversified Fund. And you can read this here on their homepage. Here is Diversified Investment and REIT Funds. And I was just clicking around on their site and, you know, very similar, talking about why you need investing. And I'm pretty sure that they have yep, it's right here. So they have a similar $500 minimum investment. Supposedly they have over 300,000 investors. I'm not really looked into that. If you want to do your due diligence and find out what that looks like, you sure can. So those are a few different crowdfunding platforms that are competitors of Fundrise. Still a competitor, a little bit different in a sense because they offer a little bit, actually not this one. We'll come back to this one. We have Yield Street, and Yield Street is one that I've been intrigued with. I have not had a chance to really dive into them. They more market, as you can read here, alternative investments. So they have alternative investments over different multiple asset classes. So there is real estate, which you can see here. So there's real estate, but they also have multi-asset fund, marine, legal, consumer, commercial, aviation, and art. So there is a wide variety of different assets that you can invest in with Yield Street, real estate being one of them. So they would also be considered a competitor. And the last one that I skipped towards is Ground Floor. I don't really know much about them. And to be honest, when I was reading like kind of their mission statement or whatever their offering is, Ground Floor offers short-term, high-yield real estate debt investments to the general public. We believe that everyone should have the freedom to invest on their own terms. Okay, that's cool. I like the fact that you believe that everyone should have freedom. The whole short-term, high-yield real estate debt investment, that's just a lot of syllables for this guy to say. So I'm a little bit confused, like what they offer, supposedly 10.5% annual actual returns to date. I don't know. Once again, you can do your research to see how they compare. If you're looking at a true, I feel more like an apples to apples comparison, that would be a Realty Mogul or this diversified fund. Now, why do I choose Fundrise? I really don't know. They're one of the first ones for me that caught my attention. Very similar to Lending Club in the peer-to-peer lending space whenever that was still a thing. You know, with peer-to-peer lending, there was Lending Club, there was Prosper, and there was, I know there were a few more, their names are escaping me right now, but Lending Club solidified itself as being like the leader in that space. And I feel that Fundrise has done the same here. So that's why for me, that's why I personally lean towards Fundrise.
I couldn't hear what you said.
Siri, I am just talking about Fundrise. I don't need you right now. I don't need you, Siri. Okay, now that we know who the competition is and we know that we have options, let's go ahead and dive into the numbers and take a look at how has Fundrise done. How much money has it made me? It has made me some money. What does the return look like? So let's go ahead and jump into the computer here, change that camera angle, boom, minimize my head so you can see everything. All right, so as you can see right now, I have $9,008.63 in my Fundrise account. Net returns to date, $1,447.83. Yay, so let's find out. I'm gonna show you kind of like what's going on here. It gets a little bit confusing, which you'll see why. Oh, look, I got logged out. All right, so I need to get logged back in. Let me go ahead and knock that out real quick. All right, so I'm back in, and what I wanted to hopefully show you here is Let's see. You can see where I funded my account. So what happened is that I initially started, I thought I started with $1,000, or I thought it was only 500. Maybe it was 1,000. Oh my gosh, like I don't remember. I got 4 kids, so it's hard to remember how it all went down. But I know what happened is that I put some money in, and then after having the account for a while, I got an email from Fundrise letting me know about their Fundrise IPO, which it's different than your traditional IPO. And I have to share this, otherwise it doesn't really make sense, but this doesn't really, I don't want to talk about the returns on this IPO. I want to exclude this, but I have to give you some backstory just so you know. So they basically said, hey, you need to, if you're interested in this IPO, you need to deposit more money. So that's essentially what I did. So what I have put in for the real estate, so the cost basis here, which is not my initial investment, is $59.15 for the real estate side. And then on the Fundrise IPO, I think I put in $2,500. They give you kind of a rough idea of what that's worth, which I wouldn't even click that. We can save that for another video. So really what I want to look at is this here. Now, those that don't realize how cost basis works is, if I put, say, $5,000 in, and then there was dividends paid that were then reinvested, like whatever those dividends were, that is added to the original, what they call cost basis. So I could have put $5,000 in, but it could show a cost basis of $59.15, just to kind of give you an idea here. So let's look at the actual performance on how this has done. So we have the net returns in, and we can also break this down for each year, which I think is the most helpful. Okay, so Fundrise actually will break this down on what is your percentage return. And keeping in mind, like, this is net return. This is not gross return. So we are subtracting out any of their fees, any of the advisory fees, any of the management fees that Fundrise collects. So you can see for 2018, so this was a partial year. So I funded the account, looks like around February the 8th is when the account was open, February the 8th, 2018. So it shows a partial return. So that year I made 7.4%. 2019, total return was 9.2%. 2020, 7.6%. 2021, year to date. So at the time of this recording, it is June the 9th. 2.2% for an all-time return of 8.1%. Now, unfortunately, it is including the $2,500 that I invested for the Fundrise IPO, even though like there have been no dividends. So any dividends that have been returned, like that is all from the real estate side. As far as like, my strategy, so you can see this is like my real estate portfolio. So I have a bunch of their different REITs. So I have the core portfolio. So I've got the East Coast REIT, I've got the Heartland REIT, I've got the West Coast, West Side, growth, all these different type REITs. Then we have the IPO as well. And I talked about a little bit about the different projects. So you can actually see, what are the different real estate properties, that I am currently invested into. So there's like 16 new single family homes in the Cleveland, Texas area. There's a single family rental here in Newark, Texas. Some more stabilized apartments in Tampa, Florida. We've got single family rentals in Texas. We've got single family rental in Atlanta, Georgia. And the thing was like really cool. I don't know if it's going to come up because it might have been a little while ago. I got an email. It was really intriguing because this is really meaningful for me because I think it was like a Dateline special or like a Nightline or something special. And it was some like real estate investing seminar where they're trying to sell you this high ticket real estate investment platform. And it was like $5,000. And so this, Dateline, Nightline, whatever, they went undercover. And like one of the real estate investments that one of the speakers slash salespeople was boasting about. And I forgot where this property was. They actually went to the address of like what was supposed to be like this 150 unit complex. And when they went there, it was just like a deserted field. Like it was just grass. That was it. There was no real estate, nothing. There was nothing being developed. It was just a field. And it was like basically just showing like, man, they're just sharing all this as like fluff, right? Like this doesn't even exist. So what I like about Fundrise is that if you really want to, you can actually go to any of these real estate investments and go see it with your own eyes, go check it out. Because one of the ones that I got, like saying, hey, we are investing in this platform, this real estate investment. And it was, oh yeah, I think it was this one. It's in Nashville, Tennessee. So this is probably like 30 minutes from me. And I swear, I think I've even drove by this. This looks very, very familiar. I think I know what street this is on. So I can go see it, with my own eyes, as opposed to like, imagine like trying to buy a real estate mutual fund, a real estate ETF. Like you're not going to go drive by and see the properties with your own eyes. So like they give you that option if you want to. And I just love that. So that is just like one thing that I love about Fundrise, that you can see what you are putting your money into. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at one of these different REITs so you can see kind of how it breaks down. So this East Coast REIT, don't know how long I've owned it. Looks like the cost of the shares owned is $1,666.68, 163 shares. So there's the current share value. So the estimated value, boom. So I've got unpaid dividends coming. So there's the unpaid advisory fees, 56 cents for a position total. And then here are the different ways that you make money. The same way happens with stocks. If you have like a dividend paying stock, you have your dividends. So this would be like, the rent coming in, the rent that they're collecting on these different projects, these different real estate properties. And then you have the appreciation. Is there anything that was sold for a profit? So with my East Coast E-REIT, I've made a total of $641.33, which is a combination of these dividends and the appreciation. And then Fundrise's fee is $8.76. And here are 11 of the projects that are currently in this East Coast REIT. So we have like a new commercial development, a stabilized commercial, apartment renovation, new apartment development, apartment renovation. So you can see once again what they are investing into. I just love that. So you can see exactly once again where your money is going. And full transparency, I don't remember exactly what I chose as my investment strategy with Fundrise, because you have the choice of, do you want to go more for growth? So are you looking to buy properties? We're investing for the long run. So we are developing, like a commercial property, we're developing like an apartment complex, or are we looking more for, we want like the rent income? So you want to buy a rental property where like, okay, we're not spending a lot of money. We're just more concerned about getting that dividend payment. I think that I did a hybrid approach, which leads me to believe, because I look at my strategy allocation over here, I've got 35% fixed income, 15% in core, 33% in value add, and 15.8% in opportunistic. So once again, you can choose how you want to do that. I'm assuming if I would have went more growth, I would see more return, maybe, possibly, I don't know. But just gives you an idea of what that looks like. So that is the total returns, everything. You can see the percentages, and then you can see the total. This is the total dollar amount. So you can see the dividends, the appreciation, the advisory fees over that time frame. So for a net return of $1,447.83. And granted, I know that the Fundrise IPO is included in that, but once again, like there aren't any dividends appreciation coming from that. So I'm more looking at this as, take out the $25.68 or so that I used to purchase the Fundrise IPO, and the rate of return should be based off that amount, not that full $7,000 or so. That's just how I would do it. I know it kind of muddies the waters. Kind of wish that was in a separate account, so this would be cleaner to do this comparison. But either way, you're getting a good sense. You know, when you look at the actual numbers here, as far as like the returns, you got the 9.2%, 7.6, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's how it's being calculated. As far as probably a question that you might be having is, well, why only 2.2% for 2021? And my only guess before actually diving into the numbers, I would say is a lot of times the appreciation that is not paid until near the year end. So which is like a larger component of that. So that typically will happen near year end. So that's why we're not seeing a higher return there. Could be totally wrong there, but that is my guess as why you're seeing a lower return so far for 2021, being the fact that we're almost halfway in. Okay, now that we looked at my returns, I think one of the most important questions to ask is, what else could I have put my money into? You know, what was the opportunity cost of choosing Fundrise as opposed to choosing something else? And I mean, this is a decision that every investor has to face. You've got money to invest. Do you choose X or do you choose Y? Do you choose A or do you choose B? You know, there's always another choice. So if you don't have a lot of money, you want to make sure that you're choosing the investment strategy, the best investment option that's going to help you meet your goals. So with Fundrise, so I want to come back here just so we can hear these numbers again, because these are going to be very important. So we have the returns, 7.4%. 9.2%, 7.6, and then year-to-date 7.2 for an all-time of 8.1. Now, I think the closest thing in comparison to choosing Fundrise would be a ETF, and I just clicked on the wrong tab. So what I'm looking for is the Vanguard Real Estate ETF. The symbol on this is VNQ. So VNQ, this is a, you know, instead of buying, we'll say, into like private real estate investments, typically you're looking at a fund like this is buying more real estate stocks. So that is one difference per se. But either way, like at the end of the day, we could say, well, this one's investing into this and this one's investing into this. At the end of the day, I think the only thing that people really care about is how much money did it make me? You know, what was my rate of return? I mean, I think that's all most people care about. Like, how much money are you putting in my bank account? So looking at the Vanguard ETF for 2018, as you recall, where Fundrise was up 7.4% just for the partial year, with Vanguard, with their ETF, they were down 5.97%. So you would have started off losing almost 6%, which is, I mean, that is a substantial swing where, like, instead of losing 6, could have made 7. So we're talking almost like a 13% return difference. But 2019, Vanguard made up for it. So now Vanguard was up 28.89% as compared to 9.2% with Fundrise. And then 2020, negative 4.64% compared to 7.6. And then I think 2021, I think it was actually doing really good. Where is the year-to-date return? There it is. So for the first quarter, the only thing they've reported so far is 8.68%. So we look at that like, okay, this is where it balances out. I believe that over the time frame, we can maybe take out 2021 for the time being, and looks like that Fundrise actually performed a little better, just because having started off with a loss, yes, they had a big second year, but then losing again. Whereas we look at Fundrise, we've just been positive, positive, positive. And I know, like, a very famous investor always says, hey, the key is not how much you make, it's just to make sure that you minimize how much you lose in the down years. So you'd be surprised, like how much having not just one down year, but 2 down years can slow up your return. So that is one comparison, looking at a Vanguard real estate ETF. Once again, the symbol there is VNQ. Okay, so that is looking at a real estate investment, comparing that to Fundrise. Now, another option that we have, now we could choose individual stocks. That would probably not be as fair to compare Fundrise to, say, like Tesla. But what we can look at is, what about the S&P 500? If we went out there and bought an S&P 500 ETF or an S&P 500 mutual fund, how has the S&P compared? And looking at the S&P, so here are some numbers that you can see. So 2018, very similar. Let me make this look bigger. Hopefully you can. So negative 4.38% 2018. As a refresher, Fundrise up 7.4. So similar to the Vanguard ETF, we started off in the hole. But then 2019, okay, 31.49%, followed by a salty 18.4%. I mean, okay, check that out. So this is an example where investing into the broader markets would have performed more, not only in Fundrise, but just even the real estate investment class, because we saw the same thing with Vanguard's real estate ETF, which basically tracks the real estate index. So the market, which, shocker, that's no surprise, like it's been crushing it. It's been doing very well. If I would have put my money into that over that time frame, I would have made that much more. Okay, fair. Now, once again, is that comparing apples to apples? Not so much. That's more like an apples to oranges, apples to bananas comparison. Either way though, it's just showing you that when you are trying to pick what to put your money into, chances are one of them is going to perform better than the other. You have to have some piece or at least some knowledge of that. And I guess it's also worth noting that, the market has had one of the craziest 3-year bull runs it's had like in its history. So it is a little bit unfair to compare Fundrise to the market, but either way, we're comparing timelines. That's what happens. All right. So we've looked at a real estate ETF. We've looked at the broad market, the S&P 500, looking at an S&P 500 return over that same time frame. Just for fun, let's take a look at another investment class or another investment that we could have put our money into. I actually did put some of my money into this, so I'm glad that I did. But that is cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. So how has Bitcoin performed in that same time frame? Now, 2018, Fundrise is kicking Bitcoin's butt. Like if we all would have started 2018 at Bitcoin, you put $1,000 in and you lose $720. That's not a lot of fun. Like that's not a good way to get baptized with a cryptocurrency investment. But then you look at 2019. Okay, thank you, Bitcoin, up 87.2%. 2020 up 302%. I gotta enlarge that one because that's like 302%. Like that is insane. Obviously, Bitcoin has been all over the place this year, but once again, not so much a fair comparison, but you get an idea like, all right, do I do Fundrise or do I do Bitcoin? Do I do Ethereum? Do I do Dogecoin? I mean, you can pick whatever cryptocurrency that you want. Obviously, a lot more risk with choosing a cryptocurrency over Fundrise, but once again, we're just comparing to see how one performed versus the other. So really at the end of the day, if I had to answer the question, am I still happy with my Fundrise investment? Would I still invest into Fundrise knowing what I know today? And the answer is yes, it is. I enjoy the Fundrise platform. I enjoy seeing the different real estate investment properties that I get. I'm not a big fan of the real estate mutual fund, real estate ETFs. I like to have a little bit more control. And I know I don't have control as far as like choosing the investments, but just the idea of having more control of knowing where my money is going, having that knowledge just gives me more greater satisfaction. And I love the fact that you can get started with $500, get started, up to $1,000 or more, and have a truly diversified real estate investment portfolio. I just love that. I also just love the convenience that you can get started with your phone. You can get started on your computer. I just love getting the updates, seeing the different real estate properties that they are either expanding in or have updates coming. I just love all of that. Now, that being said, like if you have access to somebody that is going to show you how to invest into real estate, like hard properties where you're actually going to physical locations and either buying a house to flip or you're buying rental property. I think over the long run, as long as you know what you're doing and you don't get burned and you have the capital to do so, by all means, I think you'll definitely make more money that route. And for those that are new to the channel, like that is something that I experimented with. I personally didn't have a lot of success with that. And that's just because I decided to divert my efforts elsewhere into my online business, into other investments I just felt more comfortable with. That being said, I know a ton of real estate investors that have properties and they're crushing it. They are crushing it. At the end of the day, you get to ask yourself, what are you comfortable with? What do you have access to? Do you have the capital to go out and buy real properties, or to something like Fundrise where you only need $500 to get started and a smartphone, and then that's how you can become a real estate investor. So that is where I am with Fundrise. Celebrated my 3-year anniversary, and I'll be celebrating my 4-year and my 5-year anniversary. So as long as they were still sending out these anniversary emails thanking me for the time that we spent together, it's special. I feel special. Thank you, Fundrise. For those that are interested, if you want to set up a Fundrise account, I have a link in the description. You can open up your account. Full disclaimer, I am an affiliate of Fundrise. So if you do open an account with them, I do get paid a small referral fee. So that is just a little token of my appreciation for using my link to get started with them. Whenever I started my Fundrise account, I used somebody else's link so that they would also benefit when I open my Fundrise account as well. All right, y'all, if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. As always, this is Jeff Rose reminding you that it's your money, it's your life, and only you can make it awesome. Until next time, peace.